Kalle, we are finally here. It's actually happening. This huge fight between Eubank Jr and Williams. How are you feeling 2 days out?
Well, I feel like a fighter. I feel like we've battled our way here. 2 weeks ago, we didn't even know if we could be in Cardiff. Here we are, fantastic, packed press conference, few hundred media here today, thousands in that venue Saturday night. The Welsh Dragons will be singing and Eubank will be winning.
How confident are you that Eubank will be winning? It's a tough fight. Why did you go for this fight?
See, I think it's a fight that I said at the press conference reminds me of me growing up and watching. We're talking to talkSPORT, so I'm listening. Watching boxing growing up, you had the Eubanks, you had the Bens, the Watsons, the Collins, the throwback fighters, and this fight has a feeling of that. It's great. It's on free-to-air Sky on Saturday night. Fantastic build-up today. Needle. That needle, by the way, is 2.5 years in the making. Yeah, it's not 2 weeks in the making, 2 months, 2.5 years. I look back at the first time they sort of altercated on social media. Very different up there today from the kickoff presser. There was certain words said that I definitely on a family platform like talkSPORT could not repeat now, but some of the things that were being said back and forth from, especially from Williams, I've never heard Junior swear actually. Senior was raised in very well, doesn't swear. But I can assure you that Liam Williams was explaining in some uncertain terms what he was going to do to him on Saturday night. That face-off tomorrow, after the weigh-in, it's going to be key. It's going to be a key psychological moment in this fight. Do not miss that face-off tomorrow. I'm telling you, I'm excited for it. I love being close on the face-offs and watching the reactions on them. And I'm telling you, we're going to see a lot about Liam Williams in that face-off tomorrow. You won't read a thing if you're into poker, you won't read a thing about Chris Eubank Jr. He's the same as before this fight as he has been before other big fights, De Gale, Groves, Yildirim, World Boxing Super Series fight. He's the same in those fights as he is for tune-up fights. Big fight Saturday, I don't see any difference in him, honestly. You know, it's the back and forth up there. He's cool as a cucumber. He'll be cool as a cucumber coming into the ring on Saturday night. But I think we're going to see how Williams is tomorrow at that face-off, because he didn't move a needle on the pulse of Chris Eubank Jr. today. Can he do it tomorrow at the weigh-in?
Are you already, as a promoter, looking ahead to what's next for Chris if he is victorious? Those talks already underway.
Well, I mean, Williams dropped it in with a rematch clause. I'm always looking. I'm always securing. I've got to be looking at options A, B, C, D, and E. Does that mean, by the way, that's Clarissa Shields in the background who is just smashing the punch bag that looks terrifying from here. Don't want that to be my head. But no, I mean, of course, I look at all the options. A lot of them, to be honest, are happening at the moment. We got the situation with Golovkin, Murata. You know, I said before, Kell Brook would have been a good opponent. We ended up with Liam Williams. Very happy with that. But Kell Brook, Amir Khan, certain fight happening in a couple of weeks. We'll certainly be looking at that one. And, you know, there's lots of very interesting world champions who the listeners probably haven't heard of them. One's from Cuba, one is also from the States, who's called Jamal Charlo, and it could be quite an interesting one as well. So there's lots of different options, but I need to work on all of them, and we'll work out the best one. And maybe we do a poll and see what's his most popular, because Junior don't care. He just wants the big fights. When it comes down to venue, location, fighter, opponent, he do not care. You know, Liam was right when I saw gloves are off, and he said, "Oh, you didn't know about the venue," and you know, no, he didn't, and he didn't care afterwards either. Did not bat an eyelid. Oh, it's in Cardiff. All right, okay, fair enough. That's what you're dealing with.
Very final question. You spoke at the beginning about growing up watching some of these great fights in the 80s and 90s. Where does Fury versus White compare to the likes of Froch Groves, the likes of Bruno Lewis, Hey Bellew, these types of fights?
Fury White, you said. I think that the heavyweights are picking a nice formation at the moment. You know, you're starting to get a group, 6, 7 of them, where you can start comparing it to eras where we all knew 6, 7 heavyweights, right? And I'm not talking about us boxing fans. I'm talking about the people up the high street. Yeah, you know, remember the days of Riddick, Bowe, Evander Holyfield, Lennox Lewis, Oliver McCall, Frank Bruno. You could name the fighters. You could name anyone on the street. Could name your 5 heavyweights. You go back 5 years and see people would say Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, and there's that big Russian. I know he's not a Russian, he's Ukrainian. His name's Vladimir Klitschko. That was the situation 5 years ago, till Tyson Fury changed the division that November night in Dusseldorf. That changed the world of boxing, because don't forget, heavyweight boxing is always like a Christmas tree. It all comes down. And the heavyweights, it always starts with the heavyweights. We were lucky enough that we had fantastic fighters in other divisions that carried the sport in certain times. The Klitschkos were simply too good. We've now got an era. I'm not saying it's that the same level as other eras. Who cares? We're watching great fights. We had Wilder Fury 3 last year. What a fight that was. Usyk Joshua. Not quite as good, but what a performance by Usyk. What a surprise. A lot of people. Didn't surprise me, but they're talking about it. And we know these people. You walk down the road, grandmother Lacey, she knows them. That's interesting.